The Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers have been absolutely insane. For anybody that sat there and told you before this series started that the NBA Finals was going to be boring, it wasn't going to be worth watching, it feels like they really didn't know basketball, because I'm sitting here watching this series, and this is everything you want in NBA Finals. This is super competitive. And although we kind of had a blowout in game two, it has really felt like a competitive series all the way around. And you have the underdog in Indiana now up 2-1 in the series, with Oklahoma City once again with their backs against the wall. And the league and the world are now watching, saying, how is Oklahoma City going to respond? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This game was, I think, way closer than the 116-107 box score leads you to believe. I believe this game was literally just a few different type of calls away and a couple shots away from being an Oklahoma City probably 5, 6, 7 point win. And you might be saying, well, you're talking calls. I'm going to get to that here in a second, because it's not going to be everything you think. So before we dive into it, jump in the comments below and let me know what you guys think about the Indiana Pacers win over the Oklahoma City Thunder. They take a 2-1 series lead. If you guys are new to the channel, this is where I ask you to hit that like and hit that subscribe button so that you guys are not missing any of this content, and you guys can continue to be brought up to speed with what's going on, as we have some of these longer layoffs. Now, going into game 4, there's not going to be a longer layoff. It's going to be normal, right? We have a day in between the games. So thank goodness there, we don't have to wait too long. But the Oklahoma City now have their backs against the wall after losing to Indiana 116-107. And, for a lot of fans, you're going to probably start to see some panic here. And I'm not 100% ready to hit the red button yet and panic. And the reason why is in this game, it really felt like we were just a couple of momentum changing calls or a couple shots from Oklahoma City falling to Indiana kind of collapsing here. I'm going to be honest. There were multiple times in this game where I thought Oklahoma City might start to take off with it a little bit. And, Indiana just kind of had an answer for every time Oklahoma City had an answer. And then when Indiana got the lead, there was something about it to where, Oklahoma City they couldn't collect themselves. And it was a very sloppy game from start to finish, but I still think it's insane. This series has been absolutely incredible. Now, what I mean by the calls, and I think everybody can be right here. I think everybody can have their own say, and everybody can be right in their own terms. Oklahoma City did not get a lot of foul calls tonight that they should have gotten. There were multiple times where I saw Chet Holmgren down in the paint completely get hacked and not get the foul call. But then additionally, down on the other end, we would call a ticky-tack foul, and Indiana would get 2 shots. However, I do not like the calls going both ways, and here's what I mean. I thought the calls were super inconsistent tonight, and I think we can all agree on that. It felt like at the beginning of the game, this was going to be one of those super tight called games, right? Ticky-tack calls were going to be called everywhere. And you saw Nesmith foul out. Nembhard had 5 fouls. So obviously Indiana had their fair share of fouls on Oklahoma City. But at the beginning of the game, it really felt like the refs were going to call a tight game. And then for about 4 or 5 minutes, they really let them play and then started calling the game tighter again. There was no consistency in these calls. So I think closer to the end of the game, it caused a lot of frustration, which is kind of what I'm talking about now from a Thunder fan, where I felt like there were calls that should have been called that did not get called. And then you end up with the flagrant foul at the end of the game, closer to the end of the game, which would have been a huge momentum swing for Oklahoma. And you can't be an Indiana Pacers fan and say no. If you disagree, you've got to jump in the comments below and tell me why you disagree. But the refs not calling a flagrant foul there, I think, was a momentum changer, because I felt like that met at least 2 out of the 3 criteria, maybe 3. Obviously, you saw the windup went above the shoulders, but Alex Caruso was a defenseless player in that moment. There was nobody in front of him. He was not going for the ball. He was not going for the block. This was purely a foul to stop Caruso from getting an easy bucket. And, ultimately, maybe if this caused an injury, you see this shift a little bit back into a flagrant foul, but they didn't call it. And I get it. Indiana's a home. They're going to get the benefit of the doubt in a lot of this. But I really felt like that was a momentum changer because Oklahoma City would have got 2 shots. They would have got the ball back. At minimum, it would have been potentially a 4-point swing. At max, could have been best case scenario, a 7-point swing if you could have got the 3. Or no, it would have been a 6-point swing if you would have got the 3 and 1. Best case scenario, it could have been just a 4-point swing. So I look at that for Oklahoma City and I say that was big. You could have cut the lead by 6 in that moment. You came down, hit a 3, 1-possession game. All of a sudden, Indiana's sweating and Oklahoma City's feeling good. Additionally, I feel like Oklahoma City's got a lot to clean up here. And it feels like Oklahoma City is trying to play Indiana's game too much. Obviously, we know Indiana likes to play a high pace. They're going to be a team that likes to run the ball a lot. However, Oklahoma City has to learn, especially in these moments like tonight, where you're not necessarily getting a lot of production from your bench. You have to slow the game down and give your starters a little bit of a break. When we got to the fourth quarter, you're seeing Shea kind of hunched over, hands below his knees, trying to catch his breath. He's tired. Obviously, we got a decent game out of J-Dub, but you don't get it out of SGA. And it just felt like the Thunder were never in rhythm, which is why you had to have such a big game from Chet and J-Dub. And so overall, I feel like the tweaks that Oklahoma City would need to make to be able to win this game, very minor. And if you played this game 10 times, Oklahoma probably wins it 7 times. I don't feel like the foul calls are going to be this inconsistent going into game 4. And we know Oklahoma City is a very good team at getting to the line. They're very physical, and they play that on the offensive and the defensive side of the ball. Now, additionally, this is where I'm not worried about Oklahoma yet. Oklahoma City has not lost a back-to-back game since April. They've only lost 2 back-to-back games all season. The Oklahoma City Thunder have not shown us they can lose back-to-back games in the playoffs. And with Oklahoma City's backs against the wall in the playoffs, they have been absolutely phenomenal. In game 4 against the Nuggets, they taking that game in Denver, and then coming back in game 5, beating the brakes off Denver, although you lost game 6, but then coming back in game 7 and winning the series. You saw it in Minnesota when Oklahoma City really needed to get that game 3 win, right? Don't let the series get tied up. Oklahoma City was able to get that. I felt like Oklahoma City's done what they needed to. They've won the must-win games. And I'm going to continue to trust that they can do it until they prove to us they can't do it. However, the Indiana Pacers are going to be an extremely tough team. One of the things that I've noticed is the Oklahoma City Thunder are not getting the same turnovers that they've been getting against everybody else. And they've not been able to convert on the turnovers when they do get them. Which means we have not had that explosive quarter and run from Oklahoma City that you've seen all season long that has torched and killed so many teams. And for a lot of Indiana fans, I feel like you guys would probably agree. You guys are expecting that run to come. You guys know it's coming. You guys know that game's coming. You're waiting. But every single game, you start to see this happen, and then Indiana's able to somehow clean it up and prevent it from happening. And so if Oklahoma City does not get that game in game 4, Oklahoma City is going to lose this series. I was literally driving in the car on the way home and was thinking about it. And I said, this is going to be this type of series. It's Indiana in 6 or the Thunder in 7. That's where we're at. Indiana is going to win this game win this series in 6, or the Thunder are going to have to win this game in 7. I don't think there's any other scenario at this point in time. I don't think the Thunder win it in 6, and I don't think the Indiana Pacers can come to Oklahoma City and win a game 7. So for both teams, I think you know what's your path and you know what everything's going to look like for now. Winning 2 games in Indiana, I told you guys it's going to be really hard. I think Oklahoma City can get the next one. But this crowd was lively tonight, and I think Oklahoma City, they struggled. They need to get a little bit more out of their bench. And, next game, they need to find a way to get in rhythm. And then also for everybody that wants to call SGA a free throw merchant, he only had 6 free throws tonight and was 5 of 6 from the line. So I just wanted to point that out because everybody seems to act like SGA can get to the line 12, 15 times a game and then wants to complain about it. So anytime I can mention that, I'm going to throw that out there. But we're going to dive a little bit more into this game, probably Thursday or Friday morning. So you guys keep an eye out for that. But I want to hear from y'all. So join the discussion. Jump in the comments below and let me know what you guys think about Indiana's win, taking a 2-1 series lead over the Oklahoma City Thunder. We will see y'all next time.